Hello friends, welcome to my channel Prasad Joshi Astro Universe. Today we are going to talk about the transit of Mercury in the sign of Taurus. This transit is going to take place on 25th of April 2022 and Mercury is going to stay in this sign till 1st of July. Now if you will notice, Mercury usually transits each sign in 28 days time frame, but this time it is going to stay in one sign for more than 2 months. Now, there is a reason behind why people attach more importance to the transit of Jupiter, Saturn, Rahu, and Ketu compared to the other fast moving planets, which includes Mercury, Venus, Mars, and Moon. If I give you a corollary, if an employee joins a company and he doesn't stay at that place for a very long time, that employee will not be able to contribute much or influence to the benefit of the company. If one replaces this company with a planet, similar kind of a logic will apply. Planets which stay in one house for a very long time are capable of producing a quality of result for that particular house. Whether that result is of a good or bad quality is of entirely different matter. But fast moving planets in general do not contribute a lot to the house when they are moving from there unless they become stationary and stay for a longer time. If you notice that Venus was in similar state in the sign of Taurus in the year 2020 and it stayed there for almost 4 months, producing a lot of beneficial results for people who have Venus as the functional benefic planet in their charts. This is one of the reasons why we should look at this transit of Mercury, because Mercury being present in one sign for more than 2 months is certainly going to produce the results that are expected from the planet in that particular house. And Mercury is the planet of intellect and communication, and you will see people who have a very strong Mercury in their horoscope. Such people are very sharp as far as intelligence is concerned, and you will also see them communicating very effectively with the people who surround them. Now one has to remember that the results for Mercury will be felt more strongly if a particular person is undergoing Mercury Mahadasha, Antardasha or Pratyantar Dasha. Otherwise the results will be felt in a feeble manner. So we are going to now start with each of the ascendants one by one. For Aries ascendant, Mercury is going to transit through the second house. For this ascendant, Aries also owns the third house and sixth house and therefore is not considered a benefic planet. Further, Mercury is also enemy of the ascendant lord is Mars. However, in this case, since the sixth house lord is transitioning through the second house, all those people who are in service or job will see a rise in their self-earned wealth or saving during this time frame. The second house also indicates speech, and therefore people will see a rise in their ability to communicate with their family members, and they can also see some kind of a get together during this transit, because that also is all about having a communication with each other. People of Aries ascendant will see that the stakeholders or the other people are more attentive to what they say during this transit, and Mercury is also going to aspect the eighth house through its seventh aspect, which showcases that they are going to gain from the family of their spouse, that is their in-laws, or their spouse is going to get an increment in her or his wealth during this time frame. Also, people can experience a sudden gain in their income because eighth house is also the house of sudden wealth. But since the third house lord is transitioning through the second house, it is possible that such people are not able to gather sufficient courage to invest during this time frame, and therefore they will become risk averse. Mercury also aspect the eighth house, therefore people who are interested in astrology or astronomy will become even more involved with this subject during this time frame, and they will be able to understand the logic and rationale behind the subjects or while analyzing a chart during this time frame in a better manner. Now let us look at the next ascendant, which is Taurus ascendant. For Taurus ascendant, Mercury is going to pass from the first house, that is the house of self. Mercury is a very important planet for the Taurus ascendant because it rules the second house, which is the house of self earned income and savings, as well as the fifth house of education, creativity, and speculation. Since the second house lord is passing through the first house, such people will be able to spend money on themselves during this time frame. They'll be able to buy something that they were planning to buy for a very long time. Also, people who are working in the creative field like advertising, mass communications, media, these people will be able to come up with a very creative ideas during this time frame because the fifth house lord is transitioning through the first house. All such people will be able to influence the masses in case they are into politics or their peers in the workspace through their communication abilities. First house transitioning Mercury is going to aspect the seventh house, which is also the house of masses, your spouse and your business partners. They will see that their relations with their spouse are going to improve through enhanced ways of communication, and they will be able to sort out any pending communication issues that may have given rise to a problems in their relationship. So overall, this will remain a good transit for Taurus Ascendant because Mercury is a benefic planet as well as a friend of the Ascendant Lord Venus. For Gemini Ascendant, the Ascendant Lord is Mercury itself, which is transitioning through the 12th house. For this ascendant, Mercury rules the first house as well as the fourth house, and it is transitioning through the 12th house for losses and expenses. But one has to remember that this is a sign of Venus, which happens to be the friend of Mercury, and therefore people will be able to spend their money on the significations that are indicated by the 12th house. So 12th house indicates foreign lands, so they may spend money on taking a vacation in a foreign country. They will be able to spend money by shopping in the shopping malls as well as traveling for a long distance. They will also be able to spend money on the significations that are indicated by Venus. So expenses on clothing, perfume, on entertainment such as movies will also happen during this time frame. Mercury is going to aspect the sixth house through its seventh aspect, and this will help them in gaining a upper hand on their competition during this transit with the help of creative thinking and ideas. It will be better if these people make an emphasis on building a routine, as this will also help them in addressing any potential health issues that they might face during this time frame. For Cancer ascendant people, Mercury owns the 12th house of losses and expenses and also the third house of communication, efforts, and short term travel. In the case of Cancer ascendant, Mercury is going to transition through the 11th house of gains and social networking, and as a result these people will see that their social and friend circle will expand during this transit of Mercury. They will be able to improve their relationship with their elder siblings during this time frame with the help of crystal clear communication. And since the third house also indicates short term travel, they will be able to gain during this time frame through the short term travel since the third house lord is transitioning through the 11th house. Mercury is also aspecting the fifth house through its seventh aspect, and these people will see that their relationship with their children have improved during this time frame through communication. Fifth house is also a house of intellect and speculation, and as a result these people will also be able to earn through the speculation activities during this time frame. This will be further aided by the ninth aspect of Jupiter. So Jupiter for Cancer ascendant will be posited in the ninth house and will be aspecting the fifth house through its ninth aspect. So the chances are that their income will increase during this time frame if these people are involved in the activities that are showcased by the fifth house. This includes any kind of a creative activity like painting or even speculating, teaching as well. For Leo ascendant, Mercury is an important planet because it rules both the second house of self-earned wealth as well as 11th house of gains. And both these houses are the primary houses of wealth for the Leo ascendant. So Mercury is going to transition through the 10th house, and this would mean that these people will be able to earn money through their workplace or profession during this transit. These people will be able to influence their bosses because 10th house also indicates bosses or people who are higher up in the hierarchy, and they will be able to use negotiation, persuasion, or in general the communication skills that may lead them to even get a promotion during this time frame. Of course, their Mahadasha Lord should also favor and provide significators that would lead to their promotion. But this transit certainly shows a increment in their authority at the workplace. Mercury is also going to aspect the fourth house through its seventh aspect, and they will see that the atmosphere in the domestic relations have improved. Their relationship with mother will also improve. Also, people who are doing the professions that are related to the fourth house, that is people who deal in real estate or in the business of vehicles, or people who are in the teaching line of business, will see a rise in their profession during this time frame. If you are a student, then this transit of Mercury will ensure that you are succeeding in the efforts that you put in your studies during this time frame. Further, Jupiter is also aspecting the fourth house through its ninth aspect and is giving boost to the significators that are showcased by the fourth house. Now let us look at Virgo Ascendant. For Virgo Ascendant rules both the first house as well as the 10th house through its signs and is therefore a very important planet for the Virgo Ascendant. Mercury is going to pass through the ninth house, which indicates higher learning as well as long term traveling and religion. Such people will see an improvement in their luck. They will have enhanced communications with their teachers or gurus during these transits. Students that are pursuing higher learning will see an improvement in their studies, and those who are seeking to get an admission in their desired college or university will be able to sail through and get into their choice of college or university. If people are associated with the field of religion or spirituality as a part of their workplace, then they will also see an improvement in their ability to communicate with their followers. Mercury is going to aspect the third house with its seventh aspect, which would mean that any short term journey taken to the religious areas will also benefit the Virgo ascendant. The next ascendant is the Libra ascendant. Mercury owns the ninth house of luck and 12th house of foreign lands, journeys, and losses for Libra ascendant. And Mercury also happens to be a great friend of the ascendant lord, that is Venus. Now, Mercury is going to pass through the eighth house, and this eighth house is the house of sudden gains. Such gains can occur through the spouse or through the in laws for the Libra ascendant natives, or even through their past investment. People of Libra ascendant may get interested towards occult and astrology, or if they are in the profession that are related to astrology or research or insurance, they will see that they are benefited during this transit of Mercury, and you will see that there is going to be an improved communication and reunion with family, because not only Mercury is aspecting the second house of speech, self earned wealth, but Jupiter through its ninth aspect and Saturn through its 10th aspect will also be aspecting the second house, and as a result, this will become a very important transit for Libra ascendant people. The next ascendant that we are going to look at is the Scorpio ascendant. Mercury owns the two houses, that is the eighth house of sudden gains or losses, occult research, and 11th house of overall gains and social network. Mercury is going to pass from the seventh house for Scorpion ascendant, and Mercury happens to be an enemy of the ascendant lord Mars. Mercury passing through the seventh house in the beneficial sign of Taurus, such people will see an improvement in communication with their spouses, and those in business will see that their communication or their relationship with their business partners has improved during this time frame. Their thinking ability will also improve, especially the logical reasoning part, because Mercury is also going to aspect the first house of self. Such people will be able to make sound decisions during this transit because Mercury will provide them this ability during this time frame. This again is a very important transit for this ascendant because not only Mercury but Jupiter and Saturn will also cast their aspect on the first house. And since three planets will be aspecting the first house, this is going to be a very good time for the Scorpion ascendant people to develop their thoughts process and personality. The next is the Sagittarius ascendant. For Sagittarius ascendant, Mercury rules the seventh house of spouse, business partnership, and 10th house of profession, and it is going to transit through the sixth house, which is the house of service. Therefore, all these people who are in jobs will see an improvement in their work sphere or atmosphere during this time. Mercury also happens to be the seventh house lord, and seventh house lord transitioning through the sixth house would mean that they need to be very careful as far as dealing with their spouse or business partners is concerned, and they should not get into an argument with their spouse because any kind of an argument will lead to very long lasting differences with your spouse. Therefore, you should avoid getting into any kind of a fight with them during this transit. Mercury is also going to aspect the 12th house, and therefore those people who are working in multinational companies will see an enhanced communication and rapport forming tendencies with their foreign counterparts. This is an important house for the Sagittarius ascendant people during this transit because apart from Mercury, Jupiter and Saturn are also going to aspect this house with the ninth and 10th aspect respectively, and therefore this is a very important house for Sagittarius ascendant people during this time frame. The next is the Capricorn ascendant. For Capricorn ascendant people, Mercury rules the sixth house of service and ninth house of luck, and Mercury is passing through the fifth house of creativity and education. Therefore, all the people who are students will see a good time frame and will also excel in their studies. Even working professionals, if they decide to go for an additional degree or an education that will help them in enhancing their skill set, will see success in achieving their goal. However, sixth house Lord passing through the fifth house would mean that they can face some issues in their job sphere. But for this, we also need to see the independent MD or AD that they are going through. Mercury here is going to improve their communication with their children and will also help them in improving their logical thinking. And if Venus happens to be well placed in their individual chart, they can also make money through the speculation during this time span. It is also good time for those that are engaged in the activities that are related to the fifth house as a profession. People who are teachers or who work in the areas where the creative skills are required, or people who are interested or work in the stock market, they are all going to get benefited through this transit. Also, 11th house is a house that is very important for Capricorn ascendant because apart from Mercury through its seventh aspect, Jupiter and Saturn, through their ninth and 10th aspect, are also going to look at the 11th house of gains, and therefore, a person may see a sudden rise in the gain part during this time frame. The next is the Aquarius ascendant. For Aquarius ascendant, Mercury rules the fifth house of education and the eighth house of hidden gains and is going to pass through the fourth house. Therefore, people should not get engaged in the speculative activities during this time frame because the fifth house lord is transitioning through the fourth house. Mercury is going to enhance their ability to communicate during this time frame because it also aspects the 10th house of professional arena, and therefore communication of Aquarius ascendant will improve not only in their professional sphere but also in their domestic environment. People who have taken professions that are related to fourth house, such as real estate investors, people who deals in vehicles and machinery, and all those people who are involved in teaching or are student themselves are going to get benefited during this time frame. The 10th house of profession is going to be very important during this time frame, because along with Mercury, Jupiter as well as Saturn are going to aspect this 10th house, and such people will see quite a lot of changes in their work sphere during this transit of Mercury. For Pisces ascendant, Mercury rules the 4th house as well as the 7th house. Now, Mercury is going to transit through the 3rd house, that also happens to be the natural house of communication, and people will see that they are able to improve their communication skills to a great extent during this time frame. All those people who are involved in tours and travels work, or in advertising, marketing, public relations space, as well as printing and publishing, will see an improvement in their work arenas during this transit of Mercury. Mercury also aspects the ninth house through its seventh aspect. Therefore, all those people who are interested in higher learning, religion, will see a great improvement during this time frame. Ninth house is also the house of luck, and during this transit, not only Mercury but Jupiter through its ninth aspect and Saturn through its 10th aspect are also going to aspect the ninth house for Pisces ascendant, and these people will see a dramatic change in their luck during this transit of Mercury. So we have now seen the transit of Mercury for all the 12 ascendant. If you have liked this video, please do subscribe to my channel, and thank you for watching.